Thank you. Howdy. Can you hear me? My name's J. Thomas Badhartbull, and in my culture, in my ways, American Indian Lakota ways, we always introduce ourselves and tell where we're from, so that maybe some of you are from the same place and we have the same relationships. My father is from Pine Ridge, South Dakota, the Oglala Lakota Nation, and my mother is from Standing Rock, North Dakota, and is from the Hunkpapa Lakota Nation. Hunkpapas are famous for Sitting Bull being one of their members, and Oglalas are famous for having Red Cloud and Crazy Horse being a member of their tribes. And so that's who I come from. And I'm here to talk about innovation through reclamation and using our cultures and our arts to do that, to take those next steps forward in our community. Historically, our American Indian community was always artistic, always vibrant, always dancing, always singing, whether that was in mourning or celebration. We had a lot of our tribes never had a written language, and so we used arts. One of my great-grandfathers was Amos Badhartbull, and he was tasked with being a tribal historian for the band that my father's people come from. And he used to draw and paint depictions of our culture and our ceremonies and the goings-on that detailed everyday life for my people. Now, fast forward through time, and we have unfortunately dealt with a lot of genocidal government and political policies meant to eradicate my people. And my brother Daniel Yang, who I work with, always says, we shouldn't be here. You know, against all odds, we shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here talking to you today. But here I am, and it's through the efforts of all of my family members, all of our community members to get through to where we're at now. And we have a responsibility to make sure that we're doing better because of that struggle and for that struggle, to leave something better for the next 7 generations. So that's a little bit of context for where I'm going to take this speech. Brother Rick, the first one up, was talking about always, if you're not at the table, you might be on the menu. And that's a mantra that we use in our office in Minneapolis a lot. And unfortunately, a lot of my community members weren't even invited into the house to sit at the table and try to figure out, what are we going to do for our community? So what did we do? We built our own house. We built All My Relations Gallery, Powwow Grounds Coffee Shop, offices for our organization. And we used Native American money in a tribally owned bank, Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe, helped fund this facility, as did our local foundation partners. McKnight Foundation is a big supporter, and we couldn't do this work alone. We do this work with the community, not for them. And so we're really looking at how do we leverage and reclaim who we were and how we used arts to benefit our lives and to make sure that there's something vibrant and something to hold high to reach for our little ones. You know, I want to do that. I want to be an artist. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to do all this great stuff, and we can compete. So we had the fortune of buying this building. All My Relations Arts had been in existence for about 10 years before, and they were in jeopardy of folding and just kind of going away. And so they approached our organization and said, is there anything you can do? We didn't start out as an arts organization, but we knew inherently that that's who we were as American Indian people. That's who we were as a community. And so we said, let's take a risk. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know that there was going to be a lot of headaches and a lot of surprises and a lot of great things coming out of that, but we took that leap of faith. And that's also a message I want to convey. Don't be scared. Be courageous. You know, a lot of funders only want to do certain things. Go the other way. Don't be afraid to just try to take new steps in a different direction. You'll be surprised at who follows you. We also made a space for a local entrepreneur to come in and start a coffee shop. The stipulation I guess, what do I want to say? In exchange for subsidizing part of his rent, we wanted to make sure that he was hiring American Indian people. NACD really was intentional about reaching out to community members, hearing their hopes, dreams, and aspirations, and not necessarily asking our young mothers or our grandparents, what do you need? Because if you ask them what you need to get through day to day, given the history of our people, you're gonna get into survival mode, you know? It's like, I need to get my food stamps, I need to get some baby food, I need to just the bare essentials. But when you start shifting the context and you say, what do you want? You're gonna get a whole different answer. So NACD really catalyzed a lot of those hopes, dreams, and aspirations through our community blueprint. And we discovered that the community wanted access to the arts. They wanted more small businesses. They wanted more local American Indian people doing things in the government, in the park system. And so that was very intentional in how we did that. Now, we had to really make sure that we were proud of our community. And this is what our community looked like. This was a gateway. This is the Franklin Light Rail Station. And this, for all intents and purposes, was carrying about 25,000 people a day through our South Minneapolis community. Not to it, but through it. And I don't blame them. Look at that. That looks terrible. So one thing we did was we strategically identified local Indian youth from the community, paired them up with a Native mentor, local graffiti artist or muralist, and set out to really start rediscovering and redefining their community and what they wanted. So there's a couple of pictures of them taking over that wall and making it something that they can be proud of, that the community can be proud of. It's our community organizer, Daniel Yang, on the left. This was youth from ages probably 11 to 19. Never given the opportunity to say what they wanted. Now here is something that they can be proud of. So this is the mural afterwards, and this is what the community members, the 25,000 or so riders on the light rail station are seeing now. It's seeing like, hey, there's something here, there's something vibrant. This is another example of a mural in our community. It's like a summer-long internship process. We want to get them ready for the workforce, so we give them like an 8-hour shift. They have to request time off from their muralist and graffiti artist, and they get punished if they're late. So it's really cool that there's that investment. After each mural unveiling, this one was depicting, they said they wanted to honor a couple of cornerstones in our community, local activists, community members that have always been there fighting the good fight. So we have an elder and a couple of community members that have been staunch advocates for getting us to that table, you know, whenever it is set for us to be there. And we've always been surprised at how many community members come out to support these things. And we don't know, in Minneapolis, sometimes the weather is just crazy, but you know, rain, sleet, or snow, we're like the Postal Service, we show up. Another example is some low-hanging fruit. You know, we wanted to define the American Indian community, because for a long period of time, I was a country boy and I wanted to see the big city. Minneapolis is plenty big for me. When I first moved there, I didn't know anybody, but I would walk, ride, take the bus down Franklin Avenue. I knew that my community was there, but I couldn't see them. So that really resonated with me, was that let's start making more visual impacts with our community members, our visitors, our friends and neighbors. So this is a stretch of land on about 3/4 of a mile on Franklin Avenue, holds a large concentration of American Indian organizations and agencies. We dubbed it the American Indian Cultural Corridor. We also wanted to make sure that our community felt welcome. So on the front side, it says, well, that's the back side, it says welcome. On the front side, the most important side, it says welcome in the 2 indigenous languages of Minnesota, Ojibwe and Dakota. Another piece of low-hanging fruit was Minneapolis has a great biking city, probably the best, and I'm biased, but I really love it. Bike racks. Let's integrate the corridor mural. Let's do a little pop of color. And let's just, like, every little thing you see is going to resonate with you that this is Indian land. Always has been and always will. Again, the logo. The other thing that we had a lot of in our community, I'm sure many of you do too, is utility boxes. Gray, brown, dark colors that are just there. So we said, hey, that's a blank canvas. Let's start redoing, let's repurpose them. So we took native images, things that we can be proud of, things that a young college student, Jay Badhartbo, would ride down and say, hey, that's my community. I'm home, I'm good, like, I'm so happy to be here. And we really designed the boxes to be on the corridor, but also representing who we were, and a lot of the struggles that we've come through. This one depicts the American Indian movement. The Red Power movement was born right on Franklin Avenue, right in front of our offices. It's awesome to see little kids, grandmas, able to look at and connect with our community members in our traditional garb, in our regalia, and gives them strength and pride. Another thing that we started learning was that the arts attract people to our community. Not only it re-strengthens who we are, but it also makes, it's an opportunity to leverage our strengths, which one is art. And so we sponsored the American Indian Arts Festival a couple summers ago, and we invited local community members to come down and participate, witness, and buy art, look at performers, take it all in. This was a local group, or this was a group from Alaska who came down and headlined the festival. And over a period of 2 days on one weekend, we had 10,000 people come into our community and spend their money in our community using the arts. And so that was a victory for us. They came down to look at and participate in our culture, our dances, our songs. We gave community members the opportunity to participate in spoken word competitions. What was it? American Indians Got Talent show was the other one. Local artisan and business owner, ability to sell. We put up tents so they could sell their pieces, their crafts. This is a snapshot of our community. Every month is American Indian Month in Minneapolis, and this is like a very dense class picture, but we're proud of it. This is our gallery, and this is the beautiful and talented Deani Whitehawk Polk, who's our gallery curator. And this was an exhibit, Mini Shota. And Minnesota, like a lot of words in English, is an indigenous word, repurposed. So Mini Shota is what we called it originally. And it means cloudy water. But our gallery is contemporary Native arts focused. And so we really want to make sure that we're honoring and adhering to our cultural designs and our art, but in a new way. So this is contemporary, it's a contemporary medium, skateboard decks, using Native imagery. This is also a way to engage with the community. They have access to the arts now. We always put culture, and we always put our spirituality in front of everything that we do, so that the community can really wrap its hands around it, much like this teepee here right in front of our offices. A couple quick pictures of the gallery and some of the imagery that's vibrant that we don't have a lot of in our community. So I'm sorry, my earrings keep hitting this thing. I mean, it's a place to intersect with people you wouldn't normally touch base with. It's a place to be inspired, to challenge yourself. And it's also a place for us to engage and ask those questions about what are your hopes, dreams, and aspirations now. Now that we have a good, solid foundation, we've built our own house, we're eating our own meals, we have our own decor up, where do we want to go now? And how do we place ourselves at those tables? We also use it as an educational tool for us to be able to teach people about, this was an exhibit on treaties in Minnesota, and one of our local scholars, David Wilkins, educating community members about that. Finally, this is our latest project along the Franklin Light Rail Station. This was a median in Minneapolis that was just kind of being neglected, and it, again, reinforced that pass-through mentality into our community. We want more than that. We have our little young moms and kids walking through there at night, and it's scary. So we got about almost $500,000 to inject into a project called the Ampetuwaste Cultural Arts Marketplace, designed to bring, I'll show you. This is the rendering that we're ultimately working for, to have a place for artists, crafters to sell their work, engage with new community members, food trucks, bike lanes, cultural visibility pieces. And so we broke ground about a month ago, and this is where we're at. So that's the story of our community, a little snapshot. I thank you for listening to me, and have a good day. Thank you.